1989 Chevy Silverado K-1500 catback exhaust replacement with a high-flow system. The original exhaust system was pretty hauled out. The exhaust pipe looks good, but the muffler, front of the muffler is bad, rusted out. Back of the muffler, pretty bad too. Mounts are in good condition. And the tailpipe section had some bends in it and some holes in it. So rather than crawl around underneath this truck, what I decided to do was to take the bed off and put it on my garden cart and stick it outside. A total of 8 bolts and 2 wiring connectors, one for the lights to the cab, one for the lights to the license brackets are required. It takes about a half hour to take this bed off, put it on the garden cart, stick it out back, so you can expose your entire exhaust system for easy removal. What I did, I started with the tailpipes. I removed the rear mount and the rear muffler mount, and the pipes just simply fell right off the car. They were rusted so bad. Here's a photo of the back of the muffler before I took it off. I used a webbing strap to hold the old muffler up while I removed it and to put the new muffler on when I put it on. I cut the exhaust pipe as close to the muffler as possible because you can see that this mounting bracket interferes with the upset section in the new piece of exhaust pipe that came with the muffler system. So I had to cut a notch in the exhaust pipe so it would fit the mount, and I cut it just deep enough so that the whole upset would fit over the catback exhaust. And now what I did was I oriented the muffler so that the back end of the muffler was at the same place as the back end of the original muffler. Here's a couple of measurements: 3 inches for the front inlet, 3 inches for the back inlet. And the total length of the old muffler was 24 inches. The length of the new muffler is 12 inches, so we've got to cut this little piece of exhaust extension the correct length to get the new muffler in the right position. Here's the webbing holding the new muffler up in the right position, and notice I've marked the exhaust pipe 3 inches in, so I know how far it sticks into the muffler. Here it is, clamped up, ready to, with the muffler clamped together. The next thing you need to do is do the tailpipes. So what I did was I laid these tailpipes out on the floor. They come in 2 pieces, just for shipping reasons, so you have to clamp them together. And the easiest way to do it is clamp the mandrel such that the mandrel marks align. See these mandrel marks aligning? Then you got the whole tailpipe section, both sides, that you can lay out on the floor. Make sure that the rear tailpipes are parallel and approximately under the beams. Then you can move this system up into the truck and hang it temporarily using coat hanger wires. I hung the front of the muffler using the original bracket that I cut off the original tailpipes. Then I set the pipes up in the truck and twisted and tweaked them so that they aligned aligned the way I wanted them, making sure they didn't hit anything, and that the exhaust pipes coming out the rear of the truck ended up symmetrical and as parallel as I could get them to the frame. The exhaust pipes are right under the frame members, and they're a bit long, need to be cut off. Be very careful to orient the pipes not to come too close to the fuel tanks, brake lines, or hoses. I tried to split the difference and put them right in the middle. Once you've achieved all the correct positioning, what you need to do is install the suspension so that the system hangs from it. I used the right side suspension stock mount, and I inserted one of the aftermarket hangers and clamps on the right side. On the left side, I installed a mount in a hole that didn't go to anything. I didn't drill any holes in the frame, but this hole didn't go to anything. It doesn't go to bed mounts or anything. And then I mounted the clamp and hooked it to the pipe. And it, quite frankly, makes a fairly sturdy installation. Make sure that none of the pipes, if you don't have the bed on, extend above the top of the frame. Otherwise, they might interfere with the bed. Here's all the pipes just hanging free, loose, so that I can do some final tweaking before the clamps are tightened. Be real cautious if you tighten these clamps because they leave grooves that make the system very difficult to disassemble. Here's the pipes inserted into the muffler hanging from the system. Here's a view of the right-hand pipe mount, almost final. Here's a view of the left-hand pipe mount, almost final. Make sure that these clear all the axles and everything. And then finally, when you've got everything done, you're going to have to pull the tailpipes off and cut them to length. I used a chop saw to cut the tailpipes to length. I cut them approximately 1 inch behind the rear bumper because I'm going to install some chrome extensions that didn't come with the kit. Here's how the pipes look when everything's finalized. Now we got to go back and tighten the clamps and make sure that the system's in. You might want to consider putting some exhaust sealant inside of all of the connections before you put them together and then clamp them tight. Here's some more views of the left side components before clamping tight. Here's a couple more views of the right side suspension mounting. And here's a view of the final muffler mount. Notice I used all the aftermarket clamps to put this together. I decided to put some chrome extensions on this pipe. I had some chrome extensions left from my old Studebaker pickup exhaust system. Here's a suspension on the left side. Here's an extension on the right side. And here's a few more views of these extensions. Now to do this, what I needed to do was chop the chrome extensions off just so that the hole in the extension pipe was big enough to stick the tailpipes into. And I did this using the chop saw and finally rotating the system up against the chop saw. Here's the tailpipe up against the extension. It won't fit in there just yet. So what I did was I filed all the burrs off and I filed this edge parallel to the pipe itself so that I had maximum exposure of edge on the tailpipe. Then I got me a tailpipe expander unit. There's my file and my wrench and my tailpipe expander unit. And I stuck it into the chrome extension tip and expanded it. This may take several tries, just enough so that the tailpipe fit tightly into the chrome extension tip. There's a tight fit. I didn't weld these, I didn't clamp them. But what I did do was I put hangers near the rear of the vehicle. There's a photo of the extension on the tailpipe. That's the right-hand side. Here's the left-hand side, and you can see I put a clamp right near the rear of the vehicle and hung it with a hose clamp, not a muffler clamp. And then what I did was on each side, I had the exhaust tip extend 5 inches out past the front edge of the bumper on each side. So there's the tip installed. That's what the left side looks like. Here's what both sides look like. Now notice I've coated the frame in this too, so this is a long thing to have. Okay, let's give her a start up here. I produced a video document of this entire installation and placed it on my website, www.ClassicManuals.net. You can get the documentation along with all the pictures by visiting this website. Thanks a bunch for viewing. Hope you see more of my videos, especially rebuilding this particular truck. See ya.